Familiar face. He is the CEO of the Kenya Film Commission. Karibu tena sana.
Thank you.
Always glad to have you.
Pleasure.
At the center, we have Dr. Violet Okech Helu, who is a consultant psychiatrist and counselor who also chairs the adult psychiatry and coordinates mental health research at the Kenyatta National Hospital. And key to also note, women are doing fantastic things. She was the first lady ever to become the national vice chairperson at the Kenya Psychiatric Association. Well done, Mama.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you
Good
for having me on. Yeah, and for your kind words too.
Stop it. And to the extreme left, the other gent with us, he is Mr. Steve Maina, who is the co-founder of Imara TV and also an IT consultant. Karibu sana.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you all with us. Once again, any questions, as simple as they may be, or any clarifications that you may be needing from this discussion, shoot them through via the communication platforms that we have just issued. Now, we would just quickly want to talk about a competition that has been happening, and maybe we could start with you, Timothy. Just give us a bit about background in regards to this competition, My Kenya, My Story. Tell us a bit about it.
Thank you. First, Kenya Film Commission's mandate is to create a vibrant film industry in Kenya. And My Kenya, My Story is one of those programs that we started last year to really create awareness about filming using technology.
Yes.
That is using handheld devices to be able to produce and tell a story that one will be able to relate to. And of course, the gist of the matter is, looking at Kenya, we have so many stories across the country, and these stories haven't been told for factors that are well known. At times we complain a lot that we can't be able to tell our stories because we need these very expensive gadgets to be able to really produce and have this story out. But it is so clear today that using my mobile phone, which may not cost more than 20,000 shillings. I can be able to produce a story, have it uploaded on YouTube, have it accessed by millions of people across the world.
Yes.
And that was one of those things that we thought it's a low-hanging fruit that we could be able to apply. Other than that, we want to create a culture of storytelling in the country. And not only just storytelling to entertain people, but entertain, but at the same time create wealth. Filmmaking is business. And like any other business, going to your farm to be able to produce maize so that you're able to sell, the same applies to using your knowledge of filmmaking to be able to tell a story that will be able to create wealth for your environment, your country, and your health.
Yes.
So last year, we kicked off this particular program, and we had about 731 entries. What's the difference between then and now? The first edition of My Kenya, My Story, we had more foreign entries.
As opposed to local.
Surprisingly, they were 90% were foreign entries from other countries that were submitted. But this time we changed the strategy and we focused more on the local. And we got clear entries. We set a theme on what we wanted to really see stories revolve around. By the time we were setting out a call for entries, the country and the world was celebrating World Mental Health Month. And we thought that was a very important topic because of what we were seeing happening around the country.
Yeah.
And what a better way to relate what is happening around us to what Kenya Film Commission is doing. So we requested all young people, as well as old people, to use their gadgets to tell us any story, but revolving under this
around mental
health.
All right.
So this week marks the end of the mobile film competition, and on Friday we'll be awarding the winners. So that is where we are. But the core message to our viewers is that the film industry is an industry to be nurtured, is an industry to watch. We all need to have a concerted effort to support it and also make policies that are geared towards developing and also just nurturing the industry. there is a lot of talent in this country that we need to really look after.
And there's so much that needs to be done to just
That's
try
right.
and build that whole, this new generation. Let me come to you, Steve. When we hear about, just using a mobile phone, something that is considered so basic yet so powerful, how does that even make you feel as an IT consultant in terms of just being innovative and creating opportunities, especially in the film industry?
Well, it was unavoidable. Technology always evolves towards smaller, more mobile devices.
Yeah.
And even in film, we are seeing more and more content creators globally, not only in Kenya, adopting mobile forms of data capture and video capture equipment. For example, drones even, which technically is just a smartphone with some wings.
That flies.
So the reason why I think KFC chose mobile as the main device is because, first of all, they are ubiquitous. Almost everyone has one. I mean, there are over 10 million smartphones in Kenya, according to the last Google survey. Then they are also very cheap. Between 10 and 20,000, you'll get a very good, very high quality device with a very good camera that can take 1080p or even 4K video, which is the standard now. And then they're also mobile, like you can move around with
They're
it.
very
and
handy.
Yeah, compared to some bulky video camera, right? So it's I would say it's an evolution of the film industry towards mobile devices, and the KFC, Kenya Film Commission, is ahead of the global competition in that sense.
And it's definitely a very good enabler, especially for our young people out there who cannot afford this, high-end equipment when it comes to wanting to do something and you're not able to. Now, let's quickly come to the theme for this year, which is all about mental health and wellness. And I'd like to hear from you, Daktari. Considering that, something very important as mental health is being incorporated in something that makes so much sense to our young people, how does that even resonate with you?
I think Kenya Film Corporation is doing an awesome job. And for a long time, mental health has been like the ugly duckling
And
in the
swept
medical
under the
world.
rug,
It's swept under the rug. A lot of stigma
Yeah.
and things that we didn't talk about. People used to think that mental health issues were a Muzungu issue. They used to think that, it's a white man's disease. And yet, we are all body, soul, and spirit. Imagine a life where you didn't have, you're not able to get angry or be happy, or
even
rejoice.
understand those
or understand
feelings.
those feelings. So whatever is being done by Kenya Film Corporation is Commission. Yes, is very, very timely. More so in view of the fact that we've had a lot of mental health issues around in the society.
Yeah.
We've seen the issues about people in university, for example, committing suicide or finding it very difficult to navigate relationships. There was the issue of a while ago, post-election violence, but still the effects up to today.
Yeah.
And then also the other things is like the different gender issues that are going on in terms of like the family scene. We've seen a lot of femicide, we've seen domestic violence, we've seen, parent-child conflict that needs to be addressed. And by the way, if people haven't watched the movies that were put in, those people, they are amazing.
Fantastic work was done.
Fantastic. And they've really, they've really, really picked up the key issues. So there's a lot of mental health content that is awesome to watch, and I highly recommend it.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Now, let me come to you, Timothy. In regards to using film to talk about societal issues, maybe you could tell us a bit about, the roles that film can play when it comes to talking about such issues that are deemed very important, and a tool as the film and the creative industry comes in handy, yet not so many recognize that very important role that the film industry can play.
I think time has come where we can no longer ignore this particular industry.
Yeah.
The benefits that emerge from the film industry are uncomparable to any other sector. When you invest in film, $1, you are guaranteed to get $6 back. I think even if it is taking a risk in real estate, manufacturing, or any other, I don't think you can be able to. I don't think you can be able to get that kind of return in any other industry other than the film industry. Why am I saying this? There are 5 key components that emanate from the film industry. One, anytime you produce a film on a location, you create employment. Other than creating employment, you make a significant positive change to the community where you're filming, which means by the time you leave that location, you have left a positive mark that will never change in a negative sense.
Yeah.
2, anytime you are on a location, or if you have a big budget film on your location, you are guaranteed expenditures in terms of the money spent on food, transport,
Accommodation,
mobile,
yeah.
all those things. The indirect contribution to the economy and direct contribution cannot be compared to anything else. Now, we move to the next step. Infrastructure used to produce film to have a complete product. That is an employment avenue. We are saying that if you have studios, those studios won't work for themselves. You'll be able to employ people to really have these final products come out. Upon a completion of a film product, the film will be exhibited. And when you exhibit a film, anyone who sees this film, from whichever angle, basically we are selling ourselves as a country and as a people. Meaning we convert likely tourists to actually visit our country by virtue of seeing some of the scenes or locations that we have in this particular country. And when we have numbers growing for tourism, then we are saying it's one way of also branding the country. How do you brand a country if you are not able to communicate effectively? And film is one of those tools that help us communicate. And let me go to the one that I'm more passionate about. Cohesion and integration. Film doesn't
Bring
know
people
any
together.
tribe. When you watch a film in whichever language, whether you understand that language, as long as there are subtitles,
Goes out.
you will be able to resonate
I find
with
my
that
daughter
film.
do that and she's 6.
Yeah, you'll be able to resonate with that film. And economically, I think we just need to support this industry. Look at the government's big 4. Film is the only sector or industry that cuts across the 4. There is housing, health, manufacturing, and
Food.
agriculture. What are we saying, and how does film plug into this? Today we are seated here discussing My Kenya, My Story, focus being mental health.
and wellness.
And this is purely health. And these are issues that affect all of us around the country. So film as a tool of communication addresses almost every aspect. I've previously given an example of a documentary that was done in this country, somewhere in Kitui. Thank you for the rain. And one can be able to Google and just see what is it. As a result of that documentary being exhibited, today as we speak, there is a donor who is doing a huge dam in Kitui to really bring positive change to the people of Kitui so that they are able to produce food for our well-being. You can see how film plugs into the food provision in this particular country. So I think we cannot be able to compare to any other. Other than that, we talk about Ajira. It's all about creating job opportunities. I have a very interesting scenario. I supported one young man to go for training, which costed me, Kenya Film Commission, 50,000 shillings. And today as we speak, this young man is on set employing over 100 people with a budget of over 60 million. I think let's support the industry. And those are some of the key factors that really drive we at Kenya Film Commission to come up with such initiatives.
And such initiatives really go a long way in just trying to build, especially our youth. And let me come to you, Dr. When it comes to, especially our parents and allowing their children to thrive in this creative world, and where the film industry plays such a very big role when it comes to just allowing our children to thrive in such creativity. What more do you feel the parents need to do? Because there is a struggle when it comes to what is allowed or what is thought to be good or right and well in line with what we think is good for you, as opposed to what this person wants to do.
Yes. I think it's a very important question, Jane. And I think one of the things that parents need to remember and to realize is that every child comes with a gifting and a talent, and it is not necessarily academic. for a very, very long time, our educational system has focused more on academic prowess.
Good grades.
Yes.
You'll make it in life.
Yeah, you make it in life. And then I've met, I mean, in my practice as a psychiatrist and a counselor, I have met children, like, for example, a young man came to see me and he was extremely gifted in football. In fact, his friends and family call him Ronaldo. But he's not academically gifted. So when through the school system, I mean, he's like got an E in fourth form, and he really had low self-esteem because, I mean, he wasn't seeing like he was making headway in terms of his career and, you know, the way people esteem him. And I was like, you know what? You are so gifted, and please continue. I mean, I was talking to the parent in terms of let's nurture him in the area in which he has been gifted. So I think part of the frustration for young people has been like most parents are coming from the direction of I want my child to have a secure job, you know, be sure that they'll be able to make it in life.
Or love.
Yes, yeah, love. But then, of course, we have an amazing generation of people who are very, very self-aware and very, very creative. And we have now at the point in Kenya where we need to let the young people be and to be able to explore all these amazing avenues that are available. And the other thing that I think the government needs to do is, you know, through the various bodies, to be able to support the different talents in terms of growing people, whether you're a sports person, you're a musician, you're a writer, you know, apart from us, the doctors, the lawyers, and the engineers, you know, and everyone else.
The traditionals.
Yes, the traditionals, yes.
Yeah,
and the artists too. Yeah.
Now, Maina, when it comes to just using even IT to just really help this younger generation, because, you know, IT just cuts across. There's no day you will go by without using any form of technology. When it comes to incorporating IT in all this, in the creative industry especially, what more do you feel even commissions like the Kenya Film Commission, the government, and all the relevant stakeholders need to do to just try and create that enabling environment that will help our filmmakers and our young creatives thrive?
Well, I don't know what else KFC can do because they're really
doing so
done a
well.
lot. For example, there is the filmmaking masterclasses that they started a while ago, and we can see the results of that from the kind of quality of content that was submitted for these years, My Kenya, My Film, My Story competition. For example, last year I had the privilege to also review the submissions, and compared to this year you can see the quality has really improved. Guys are using lighting, even if it's just a reflective sheet, just to improve the light. Guys are using gimbals to stabilize the shot on the mobile camera. It's really advanced in terms of the kind of training they are giving. Furthermore, they have created a resource center at the Kenya Film Commission headquarters on Lenana Road, where they provide equipment like high-end Mac computers that allow you to edit the content that you've shot or even do animations. And they even have a media center where you can not only create content but also review it and make changes. So I think what the KFC is doing and other players in the sector, for example, us as Imara TV, also trying to see how can the youth use the same mobile phones to create content about sexual reproductive health from the places they live, work and play, to educate the public about issues like HIV. So it's a concerted effort, I would say. It's everyone to collaborate to create the environment that the creators need, because we know that the jobs are not there. They are being automated from farming to white-collar jobs, blue-collar jobs, and it's the creatives industry that will be the last thing to be automated. So I would urge everyone to focus on them.
Focus on them. It's a very hands-on field that needs so much. And, you know, if you don't have that conducive environment to help creatives thrive, at the end of the day, you cannot go without some form of entertainment. And you need a creative mind.
Yes.
You cannot go. Now, just looking at this competition in itself, maybe you could tell us a bit about, you know, the submissions that came in, how were the numbers looking, and in terms of even the skills that you as a commission were looking to just, because there are those who stood out, and there's those skills that some of them employed that really stood out, that helped them even help you filter the winners. Maybe you could tell us a bit about some of the skills that you were looking for as a result of this competition.
Thank you. You know, the main essence of the mobile film competition is also to identify and be able to nurture talent. And this time around, we've been able to get quite a number of good stories. So we were looking out for a story well told, and also the art when it comes to the quality of production. How did you use your skills to edit your work? How did you apply your knowledge to be able to tell that story in a consistent manner that one can be able to follow? And also how your story came out to inform or to impact on the viewer or whoever will be watching your story. So we have a jury in place, and this jury including Daktari and Maina, and their role was actually to look at all the entries that were submitted. We got 68 Kenyan entries, and those entries, from the feedback I'm getting from the jury, that they all were high quality, and they had a very tough time choosing who is to emerge the winner.
Spoiled for choice.
Yeah, so for me, that is something positive, because when we started last year, the focus was how do we use technology, because technology was the focus to really tell a story. We've now moved to a level where, yes, the component of technology is actually in use, but how do we use it well? And how do we use it to impact the society? So as the commission, we put that in place, and when we are awarding on Friday this week, the intention
That is tomorrow.
Actually,
that is
tomorrow. Yes,
Yes.
tomorrow.
The intention is we would like to grow this particular component, and also to maintain the messaging or creating awareness that, you know what, film, other than the conventional, you know, we've grown up knowing that you have to do film as your second option job.
A side hustle.
Yes, and the issue of, from where I sit, film cannot be a side hustle. What we need to really focus on, if you made a choice that you want to tell stories, please focus on telling stories and just tell them well. They'll give you proper income that surpasses any other kind of employment, because this is where life is. And life is economics and entertainment. You cannot separate the two. In addition to that, how is the commission really contributing towards creating entrepreneurs in this particular sector? We are keen to see that filmmakers not only entertain us, but they are able to professionally do business.
Yes.
When you are going out to produce a product, be it on mobile or on using other gadgets, you have to come up with a business plan, just like any other business. You have to be able to have a complete journey as to, this is where I'm starting, and I'm going to end through distribution, and I'm expecting to earn X amount of money that I will be able to plow back into the business. So going back directly to the competition, I think this is a competition that is valuable to us because it affects each and every Kenyan. 90% of Kenyans have mobile devices. And for me, that's a huge market. Mobile devices have become distribution points for content. We cannot ignore that fact. So this is also one way of the commission just trying to create room, creating a market. You know, we have Kalasha International Film and TV Market. We have Kalasha Awards.
Coming soon.
Yes, and we also have a new project. This is My Kenya, My Story. But we have a new project called My County, My Story. You can imagine 47 stories being told every year from each county, and each county is unique. I think the sky is the limit for the storytellers, and again, for us in government who are passionate about making film as an economic driver for this country is very critical. So as we get into the awarding, I think the takeaway is that let's continue supporting this. KBC hosting me this morning is a valuable component because very soon we'll be signing an MOU on studio Mashinani. So when we come up with this particular my County, My Story and My Kenya, My Stories products, what will happen is that we identify talent. After we've identified this talent, we are able now to take them to this Studio Mashinani project where they are able to find equipment and now produce full-length products that can be aired on national TV.
And every governor should be at the forefront in leading the counties when it comes to the My County, My Story projects, because every county has something to offer.
Exactly.
That is, every county has something unique to offer, and it's definitely a step in the right direction, especially when it comes to creating employment. And let me quickly come to you, Dr. Still in regards to the theme of this year's My Kenya, My Story. Just looking at the stories that were submitted, how did you even resonate with some of the stories that were being told and the reality on ground?
I think there was a very, very good connect between the stories that were being told in the entries and what's going on the crowd.
When it comes to mental health issues?
Definitely, yes, because that's why they brought me on board to look at the mental health component. And I'm seeing a lot of stories that came up about women's mental health issues, about depression, the challenges that women go through with childbirth, if you've lost a baby.
Postpartum depression.
Yes, postpartum depression, and issues about sexual violence, rape, gender issues. Also about things that youth go through, like, for example, there's a lot of gambling going on now, and people think they make a lot of money out of it. Some people do, but it's,
First and second time you'll make money. Wacha ifike mara ya tatu ndio utajua hujui.
Nakwambia. And the content is amazing, in terms of what's going on the ground. They're very, very much in touch.
Very in touch with the reality.
With the reality of what's going on in the ground.
And that is one of the components that you're looking for.
Yes, and then the other thing that came up was like the fact, mental illness is, if somebody has a mental health disorder, it's not written on your forehead. Like
those silent illness.
Yeah, it's a silent thing. And, there are films that were highlighting like how you can be suffering silently with depression. I mean, how many times have we seen stories on media, like, oh, so-and-so, they were so well, they looked like they had everything, they committed suicide. How? And when you watch what was actually submitted, it's it's a big eye-opener. I really, really urge everyone to look at what we're going to be showing. I mean, the entries that were put in. Yeah.
Fantastic. And are they going to be on the website where people can also get to have a look?
On our YouTube channel.
On the YouTube channel, yes. Kenya Film Commission's YouTube channel.
Exactly.
All the submissions will be put there.
Right.
Oh, fantastic.
Jane, may I put in a word?
Yes, please.
I think one of the things that, one of the messages that people need to realize is that having a mental health disorder is just like having diabetes or asthma. It's nothing to be ashamed about. If you feel that, you're losing interest in the things that you normally enjoy, you're totally out of sorts, you're feeling sad all the time, or anxiety or something else is affecting you to the extent that maybe you can't go to school, you can't go to work, or you're not able to interact with your family and friends, please seek help. We're there. There are very many psychiatrists and psychologists in this country, and it's okay to seek help. It's actually a sign of strength.
And just still on the same path, when it comes to embracing it and not still seeing it as a white man's problem, because we still struggle with that narrative that hiyo ni ya wenye kuna pesa, hiyo ni wazungu, hiyo si ya mtu kama mimi. Mental health can affect anyone.
Yes.
Just trying to break that stereotypical mentality that is there in regards to mental health and it being a white man's problem. Just speak to our viewers in regards to just bringing down that curtain.
I think if you look even at our languages,
our
languages have not been, I have an interest in linguistics. I'm Luo speaking, I speak of about 4 or 5 other languages. And I think we even lack the words in which to talk about how you are feeling, okay? And that now that we're speaking more of Kiswahili and English, and I mean, we're able to also share and all of that, we're able to express ourselves better in terms of emotion. But our languages actually have a different way. In medicine, we talk about the African tumbo, that when an African is distressed, they'll say, I have a stomachache. Tumbo nauma. But if you actually look, like, for example, I'm Luo speaking, and when you're talking about being angry, you say iwango iya. That means you're making my stomach to burn. Okay? You notice when somebody annoys you, persistently, so unapata hyperacidity.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Things like that. So Africans are like everyone else. Mental health is an issue in our setup. It is something that is real. I've lived with depression for many years. It took me a long time, even as a medical doctor. to actually accept. You know, the story, they keep on saying, oh, all psychiatrists are mad. We are not mad.
You just know better.
We are all mad. That's what we say in psychiatry, just the degree that matters.
That varies.
And then it varies from culture to culture. And for a long time, you know, I would experience, like when I went for my postgrad and I was getting sad, I was getting long-winded, and I was like, what is this? And I was reading what was in the textbook. But you see, as a medic, many times you say when you're in med school, you say ati, you know, everything, when you learn about diarrhea, you start getting loose to, you know. So it's
You
like,
go through it literally.
Yeah, is it what I'm reading, or, you know, is this actually something that's happening to me? Much later, after I consulted with my colleagues and a few other people, I realized that actually what I was going through is actually real, nothing to be ashamed of. You know, went to see a colleague and, you know, I was put on treatment. It has really helped me to function better. I'm still, as a Christian, I'm still asking God to one day heal me. And then also in the church, sometimes people think that because you have faith, that you cannot go through certain challenges. That is not true. Okay? It is still possible to be a person of faith, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, Hindu, and experience mental health challenges. And seeking for help is not a sign of weakness. It is important, and it helps you to be able to function at your very maximum capacity. So, you know how, you know, like when you Google internet and things like that, they talk about famous people who've had mental health issues. It's nothing to be ashamed of. You know, any part of your body that can get sick. Just the same way, you know, your pancreas can get sick, you get diabetes, your chest can get sick, you get asthma. You know, your emotions can get unwell, and therefore you find that you need a little bit of help in order to be able to function better. Yes.
And it's okay to seek help.
It's okay to seek help. And then the other thing that happens is that, like, for example, you find that especially in the creative industry, you know, there's been this narrative going on of how come many people in the creative industry, they are so creative, and then also at the other end, perhaps they're indulging in substances and other things. Sometimes people use substances to calm themselves down
And cope.
Yeah, and to cope and to cover a mental health issue. And when you find if you find yourself like drinking a lot of alcohol in order to be able to function, you know, people are commenting about it, you can't, you know, function without maybe taking a sniff of this or the other, then it means that you also need to seek help. Yeah.
When you need you need a substance to help you cope.
Yeah, to help
with
you cope.
with everyday's
Yes.
hustles and bustles.
Yes.
It's okay to seek help, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
The same way if you jikata unaendaga kutafuta elastoplast,
Yes.
the same way you need to take care of your mental health. It's not about uko sawa, and we need to change that narrative because it's so deeply rooted in society, and it'll take time to change, but we're definitely redirecting the conversation in the right place.
And the other thing, by the way, Jane,
Yes, please.
I think also coming from an African context, sorry, I hope I'm not hogging the time.
No worries.
Is that, you know, like, for example, me saying on air, like, I've lived with depression, I'm on treatment. There was that thing of, if you start saying, oh, you have a mental health disorder, people will not marry into your family, it is stigma, you know, maybe it is something that can be, it's not contagious, you know? So it is something that is with us. It is a disorder that anyone can get. It doesn't choose. And please seek help.
Please seek help.
Please.
All right.
Yes. And it's okay to seek help.
And it's okay.
Yes.
I think we also live in a society where we need to be accepted.
Yes.
In society to feel like, nikienda kuonekana ni sawa, ni sawa. Okay, let me go.
I'm a psychiatrist. Please come and see me, Jane.
There she said it on national TV. Now, as we bring the conversation to a close, maybe just coming to Mr. Maina, when it comes to using technology and what you were looking for, even as being part of this competition, maybe what are some of the key skills that really stood out for you in how our young people and all these 68 locals that took part in this competition that stood out for you?
Well, yes, so I got a chance to review all the submissions, like I said, and something that really stood out well was the ability of Kenyans to use humor to, I don't know whether it's an escape mechanism.
Satire.
Or satire, but they use humor to address really serious issues that are affecting society, and I think it's a way of tackling it without like facing it head on, and that really came out well. The comedy is really fantastic. You should watch all the submissions. And another thing again is the artistic talent.
Yeah.
Like all the, I was joking, like all the submissions are Oscar worthy. That's what I was telling the rest of the
That's
jury.
a very good
because
comment.
They are really, really good.
Yeah,
Especially
awesome.
the use of, and remember they're using a mobile phone.
Yeah.
And the cinematography, the location, the casting, the the costumes, they were all very well designed and very suitable for the topic or the themes that they were discussing in the film. So I think we are sitting on a gold mine as Kenya by not exploiting the local film industry. I mean, take Hollywood, for example, it contributes almost 2/3 of the economy of the state of California, yet the state of California has a GDP greater than the entire of Africa. And all that's from film. Like, you can get a $1 million budget film in Hollywood, that's too low. And here we are talking about 50,000, 100,000 shillings for a film. So you can tell if there is more resources redirected towards the creative industry, I think
will go a long way.
Go a very long way to create very many jobs, especially for the youths. Remember, these youths go to school to study for careers that are being automated. By the time they graduate, those jobs are not there. So I think we should even rethink our education system to teach people how to think rather than to teach them old or outdated career paths, to prepare them for this coming century of creatives and
Critical
innovative economies, or a knowledge economy, like I call them, rather than the traditional blue-collar, white-collar jobs that are being decimated by AI and computers. Yes.
And AI is taking over.
Definitely.
All right. Excuse me. As we bring the conversation to a close, maybe in regards to, they're going to be announcing the winners tomorrow. For the benefit of our viewers and those who might not be able to be there to witness this fantastic crowning, maybe what are the winners going to be getting? What more is coming in regards to more projects like this? We already have the My County, My Story, you've mentioned it. More future projects in regards to just building the film industry.
Thank you. As we award the winners tomorrow, the winner of My Kenya, My Story will be awarded 200,000 shillings, and also an opportunity to be trained in an area that has been identified by the jury as an area of improvement. Then also to just mentor this particular filmmaker to be able to connect with the realities of how to do film business. The second runners-up will earn 150,000, while the last or the third will earn 100,000 shillings. But that's not it. We are looking at more projects. We have My County, My Story that is upcoming soon. Kalasha Awards is set to take place in November this year. Come next year, March, we have the market, that is the Kalasha International Film and TV market. And besides that, that's purely on the marketing component. We have other programs that are skills-based. We do more of capacity building and also sensitization of the market, because capacity will enable skilled manpower in this particular sector. And as much as we would like to see more Kenyan films done here and being able to roll out to other countries in terms of consumption, we must be able to produce quality, and quality will emanate from skilled manpower. So that is very critical. Another area is Kenya Film Commission working with the Concert Technopolis. We are working on coming up with a media and film city. And that one will provide a one-stop shop as far as filming business is concerned, be it from writing, equipment, training, and all. We would like to have a media city that will be able to provide facilities that are needed. When you are coming to film in Kenya, you need not to think about my post-production will have to happen in another country.
Or shipping in your equipment.
Yes, we need to do everything here. So providing a proper environment for filming is our business. As I said, having a vibrant film industry in Kenya is a solution to many Kenyan problems. So it's upon all Kenyans to take this as a challenge that we have an industry to nurture.
And join the movement.
Exactly. That is the movement I'm championing.
Good.
Thank you.
Now, maybe I could add
please.
for the award ceremony. We as Imara TV are sponsoring the submission that best brought out sexual reproductive health and how it relates to mental health. And we gave Dr. Okech the honor of selecting the winner of that special award. And tomorrow, if you attend, you'll get to see who will win the special award for sexual reproductive health in relation to mental health issues.
So, you know, this competition was looking for mental health, but here we are, another component came out,
Yes.
and it's being rewarded for doing such fantastic work.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Thank
One
you.
thing leads to another. You never know. And let me come to you, maybe you can also get your parting shot, Dr. Tari,
Yes.
in regards to having such a film industry talk about such a fundamental issue that is mental health, and other even different stakeholders bringing out these issues that are there in society but are not really being talked about as they ought to be.
I think Kenya Film Commission has done an amazing job of bringing to the forefront the importance of mental health and wellness. It's not just about talking about mental health disorders, but the fact that these are real things that happen to all of us, and you can actually do something to get better. And I'm looking forward to seeing this conversation expanding and going, you know, wider and, you know, deeper. Yes.
Fantastic. If you are able, just start with what you have, where you are, and bring, you never know, a small thing could build into something that, you know, was never even foreseen. Just from the classic, the example you've given us of the gent, you know, working on a different program. Just from a very small investment, that here he is creating employment for over 100 people. And it starts with you, with where you are and what you have to just try and make the change that is needed in society. Remember, we've been talking about the film industry, and in this conversation has been the My Kenya, My Story competition that has been happening. The winners will be crowned tomorrow from just using a mobile phone to make how many minutes was it?
7
minutes.
Yeah.
7 minutes long from just using your mobile phone. So what excuse is there, really?
Yes.
What excuse is there?
No excuse.
No
None.
excuse. Get up and use what you have. Such opportunities are there. It's just up to you to also step up to the plate and look for these opportunities. We have been speaking with Mr. Timothy Owase, who is the CEO of the Kenya Film Commission. Of course, the commission that has been championing this competition, My Kenya, My Story. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
Always
you.
a pleasure to have you.
Pleasure.
At the center, we have Dr. Violet Okech Helu, who is a consultant psychiatrist counselor, also chairs the adult psychiatry and coordinates mental health research at the Kenya National Hospital. And I will say this again, loud and proud. She was the first lady to ever be elected as the national vice chairperson of the Kenya Psychiatric Association. Women at the forefront. A conversation for another day. And to
Thanks
the
for having me.
Yes.
Thank you for having me on.
A pleasure, a
Yes.
pleasure. And to the extreme left, we have Mr. Steve Maina, who is the co-founder of Imara TV and also an IT consultant. And he'll also be awarding a special winner tomorrow that, you know, used mental health, this mental health and wellness platform to bring out reproductive issues that are there. Thank you very much for being with us. We absolutely appreciate you guys making time to be with us this morning.
Thank you.
Now, Good Morning Kenya does continue. We want to take a very quick break. We'll be right back with more. We have trending topics coming up in not too long, so keep talking to us. Our SMS line is 20154. Our hashtag on Twitter is hashtag Good Morning Kenya. Our official station handle ever remains at KBC Television, and my handle is Jane Wambui. See you after the break.